Okay, this slide is a little bit simple, but I want to cover this one just to make sure we still remember the basic ones. All right, so this is the example. Sandra lives 5 kilometers away from the school, and Hector lives 4 times farther than Sandra. Okay, how far away does Hector live from school? Okay, so we have Sandra and Hector. Okay, so Sandra in Hector. Okay, so Sandra lives 5 kilometers away from school, so Sandra is represented by 1 box, and Hector lives 4 times as far, so we'll have 4 boxes for him. Okay, so this is the most basic type of example. So as you can see, the question the question is how far does Hector live from school, and so as you can see, 4 boxes for Hector and 1 box is equal to 5, right? So therefore, if you want to find Hector's, that'll just be 5 times 4, or 20 kilometers away from school. Okay, so alright, so I'd like to make sure that you can at least draw this type of diagram, or this type. Okay, so let's try this one. So Mrs. Anson has 80 books. She has 4 times as many math books as science books. How many science books does she have? Alright, so we know that the basic box here will represent science, right? Because she has 4 times as many math books. So we have for science, that's 1 box, and we know that for math she has 4 times as many. So for math we'll have 4 times as many number of boxes, and then the total is 80. Okay, so that's the total for the math and science. Alright, so just look at this certain example. As you can see, how many boxes do we have? We have 5 boxes, and the total of these 5 boxes is 80. So we'll just write our equation for that. So you have 5 boxes is equal to 80, so therefore 1 box is 16. So that's the number of science books, because science only has 1 box. Now if the question is how many math books does she have, then you'll just multiply 16 by 4. Or you can do 80 minus 16. Either way, you'll get the right answer. Okay, so let's try this one. We did this one in class yesterday. I want to make sure that we still remember it. Okay, so Janet and Mark have the same amount of money. After Jane spent $25 and Mark spent $18, Mark now has twice as much as Jane. Okay, so we have 2 people here with the same amount of money. Okay, right, so Jane and Mark, they have the same amount of money. Now Jane spent $25, right? So let's say the red box represents the money that Jane spent, and that is $25. Now it says here, after Jane and Mark spent those amount of money, Mark has now twice as much as Jane. Now let's go back to Jane's box. See, Jane has spent $25, and so the blue box represents the remaining money that she have, right? But after she spent that and Mark also spent 18, Mark has twice as much money left. So if Jane has 1 blue box left and Mark has twice as much, so therefore these blue boxes represents the money that Mark has left after spending $18. So therefore the remaining area there will be your 18. Okay, so this is a good way to start your diagram, so you don't have to a lot of adjusting to do. Okay, so let's review first. So we have the same amount of money. Jane spent 25, the remainder is the 1 blue box, and after Mark also spent 18, he has twice as much as Jane's remaining money. Okay, so you need to make sure that you have 2 blue boxes for Marks. Alright, and so of course the red box for under Mark represents the $18. Okay, so let's look at this diagram carefully. Okay, now let's consider this area here. Okay, how do we get that distance? Okay, we are interested in that. Okay, so this blinking area here, that's equivalent to 1 box, right? So how do we get that 1 box? Okay, so that's just that 25 over there, that big arrow, 25, the amount of money that Jane spent. You subtract that by 18, which is the amount of money that Mark spent. Okay, can you see the relationship there? Okay, so that question mark arrow is just equal to the 25 minus 18. That's one box. So therefore, one box is equal to 7. Now, if we want to find Jane's money, remember Jane's money here is one blue box, which is 7 as we found out, plus the money that she spent, which was 25. So therefore, Jane spent 32. Okay, and Mark spent two blue boxes, which is 7 and 7, and plus the 18 that he spent. So he also has 32. And remember, originally they have the same amount of money, so they... Okay, so let's try if we can work this one out. Okay, let's pause this video, draw, and answer. So try to work it out with all the boxes. Okay. Alright, this is a similar problem with a previous one. Okay, let's read this one. Al has 5 times as much money as Joe. Al spent $115 and Joe spent $15 on gifts. Now they each has equal amount of money left. Okay, so after spending $115 and $15, they both have the same amount of money. How much money did Al have at first? Okay, so we have Joe with this much money and Al has 5 times as much, right? Okay, so this is your initial drawing. Joe 1 box, Al 5 times. Okay, now Al spent $115, okay, and Joe spent $15. So let's work with a smaller with Joe first. Okay, so Joe, if you look at the figure above, he has 1 blue box, right? In the red box on the second figure, the red box represents the $15 that is spent. Okay, so the red box is represented by the amount of money that is spent, and that's $15. And then it said in your problem it said that Al spent 115 and Joe spent 15, and after that they have equal amount of money. Okay, so therefore for Al, you need to draw red all the way until you only have a blue left over, just like Joe's, so that it would look like they have the same amount of money. Okay, so that's 115. And so, alright, so let's take a look at that. Okay, so after spending that money, they have the same remaining money. Okay, so let's put that one back. Okay. Okay, so let's look closely at this one. How are we going to draw or figure out our equation? Okay, now if you look at this closely, that distance between the green lines, that arrow over there, okay, how are we going to get that value? Okay, are you able to figure out that that is just equal to 115 minus 15? Okay, so therefore that is 100. Okay, pause this if you have not figured it out yet, and well, do not continue until you have figured that one out. Alright, so if you figure this one out, that's for 100. As you can see, 100 is equal to how many boxes? Okay, so that's equal to 4 boxes. Okay, so 4 boxes is equal to 100, so therefore 1 box is equal to 25. Okay, so if we wanted to find Al's, let's go back. 1 box is 25, so therefore, okay, 1 box is 25, so Al has 5 boxes, so therefore Al's money is 125. Okay, so this is a similar problem. Let's pause and continue until you're done. Alright.